Skrillerilla, am I live and direct? Am I live and direct? That first video had a couple of technical difficulties right there. So if you see that rolling, you can listen to it. But it's only about, I think, a minute or two at the most. But you know what? I think right now it should be. Give me a second right here while I just waiting for it to uh, appear in certain areas. Hey man, what is it? Skrilla, what's this, man? Hold on. It's wild. Let me see here. Having some fun with it right quick. Y'all hold tight. The sports court. I'm Gregory Beatty. In the place to be. Grade A Media, Grade A Radio. The sports court, the show where we keep it 100% of the time. Skrillerilla. Am I live and direct, man? Finally? On here? Huh? Am I live and direct, bro? Okay. Let me see here. Hold tight while I get rolling. I know I said I would be on at 7, but we actually had to let me see. We thought there was gonna be some other stuff happening with us, so we had to get it back rolling. Hold on. Bear with me right quick on this. Y'all know me in this technology. But hey, here we go. Here we go. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Just trying to get rolling on a couple of different platforms on this Wednesday hump day. Glad to be here, of course. Absolutely. It's getting hot out there. The spring is here. A lot of people going on spring break next week. A lot of schools, a lot of course, high schools and colleges. Be careful. Enjoy yourself. If you're going to the beach, you beach goers, have fun, be responsible, do the right thing, and enjoy yourself. Enjoy your break. Enjoy your break. I remember college spring breaks. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Down right here in Galveston at the beach. Yeah. Right here in Galveston at the beach. Hey, a lot going on in the sports world. Of course, a lot going on in the sports world. Hope everybody's doing well. Again, I'm Gregory Beatty. You're listening to the Sports Court, the show where we keep it 100% of the time. Skrillerilla made it over here smoothly, man. Smoothly. Like I was just saying, the roads were smooth on this hump day, on this Wednesday hump day. Sometimes you have to deal with that hustle and bustle in these Houston streets. But you know, it is what it is. Any big city you go to, I remember when I was living in LA, hell, the traffic was worse out there than it is here. And it's terrible out here. So if you're doing something around rush hour time, hey, what else you gonna do? Unless you have a private helicopter, like my man Kobe Bryant used to have. Hate to say it like that, but it was leading to a bigger point. Of course, we all know Kobe tragically lost his life in a helicopter accident. But man, was that helicopter serving him well up until that tragic incident that unfortunately took his life at a very, very young age. You all know I always say that's my favorite player of all time right there, Kobe being Bryant. But I said that to say this about, of course, the Los Angeles Lakers. And stay tuned. Gonna talk NFL, of course, combine. Of course, the NBA is in full gear right now. We saw the Lakers and Anthony Davis last night. With the absence of LeBron James, Anthony Davis is putting the Lakers on his back. If he can stay healthy, we'll see what happens. But talk about a couple of other NBA teams, too, before I get out of here tonight and then come back next week. It'll be that much a week closer to the NBA playoffs. Get a few more games out the way. It's really coming down to the wire with a lot of these teams. Very interesting. Teams are starting to bring their mojo, except one team who I don't know about, Golden State. Talk about them here shortly for a minute or two. But again, as the NBA actually, the further along it gets, it's only like about 17 to 18 games left. And then you have the playoffs. And we all know in the playoffs, it's a brand new season. But, of course, you have your true contenders in the mix that are really vying for that championship ring. But I was saying that about, okay, real quick before I expound on what I was saying about Kobe. I see where Jim Boeheim retires after 47 seasons. 47 seasons with Syracuse. Again, you listen to the Sports Court. I'm Gregory Beatty. On a Wednesday evening. Don't matter what day. Just turn on the camera. Just turn on the camera and push play. Bing. But 47 seasons. You're talking about some longevity. Great coach. So he's retiring today. He retired after 47 seasons at Syracuse as a Syracuse Orangeman basketball head coach. Damn, I'm 52. And you're right. I can't remember another coach ever at Syracuse. And I've been watching basketball as long as I can remember. I mean, seriously. I remember him all the way back to Big Cycly and Dwayne Pearl Washington. After watching Dwayne Pearl Washington in that McDonald's All-American game, coming from New York, I think it is, the ballyhoo Dwayne the Pearl Washington. I remember that high school McDonald's All-American game. They're like, he's going to Syracuse. I'm like, damn, even at that time. I'm like, what was that, like 81, 82, something like that? 83? It was early 80s. But I was like, okay, I'm going to check him out. Smooth, playground legend, tremendous handle. Went to Syracuse and did his thing, could run the break. Excuse me there. Make tremendous passes, but couldn't shoot worth a damn once he got to the NBA. I mean, damn. Love Dwayne the Pearl. But coached him, of course, we all know all the greats. 2003, won a national championship. Speaking of L.A., I had just moved to L.A. I was there probably like a month when they won that national championship with the young, highly touted freshman named Carmelo Anthony. I think we all know his exploits in the NBA. But I remember I was in the gym. One of my coworkers, I found a job out there after a while, you know what I'm saying? Hustling and bustling. And one of my coworkers was this manager at a nice high-profile gym. She was there for a second, but I think maybe after like a month of me going there, she ended up going somewhere else or something like that. Matter of fact, she stopped even working where I was, but stopped going to that gym. But I remember in that gym watching that national championship game in 2003 after I pretty much followed them that entire season because of Carmelo Anthony and what he was doing as a true freshman. But I remember I was in the gym watching that game on TV as I was getting my cut on. Won it that year. What else did he do while he was there? Jim Boeheim. Let me see. I think he went to 5 Final Fours, 7 Elite Eights, 20 Sweet 16s, 35 trips to the tourney. In other words, he's a legendary coach. So I wish him well in his future endeavors. Of course, So Jim Boeheim, again, retiring after 47 seasons. Real quick, Calvin Ridley, reinstated. Duval. When I was watching Jacksonville, reinstated by the NFL after that year-long suspension because of gambling. But when I was watching Jacksonville this past season and really watching the ascension of one Trevor Lawrence, I forgot they had Calvin Ridley. They got him in the deal. You're talking about a tremendous route runner, a tremendous wide receiver, and you see him today, what he said? I saw on TV where he tweeted, hey, they're good for 1,400 with me, 1,400 yards per season. I like that confidence. 1,400 yards per season. He's saying he's one of the best in the game. He say he's faster than he's ever been. Hopefully with that year-long suspension, I'm sure he was able to get his mind right and really, really understand what he was actually missing. Whether or not that suspension was warranted or not, I don't think it was, but that's a story for another day. But of course, you know the NFL, they're going to do what they do to try to protect their brand and protect their shield. So they suspended him for a year, trying to make an example out of him. So no one else won't think they can do that and even take it to other levels and really put a black eye on the NFL. So nevertheless, he's back, good for him. But I think he took that year off. I hope he took that year off. I'm sure he probably did, to get his mind right as well as his body. So that's just going to be an added dimension to the Jacksonville Jaguars. That is going to be an added dimension to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Trevor Lawrence, to go along with the other receivers, Jones and a few of those other guys that they have over there. Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram at tight end, Travis Etienne coming out the backfield. So you add Calvin Ridley to that, and I see right now where DeAndre Hopkins, he's trying to get out of Arizona, to make a long story short. Who knows where he'll end up. I'd love to see him with the Cowboys. I would love to see him with the Dallas Cowboys. To complement CeeDee Lamb. Now, he's not a true big play receiver. And how old is DeAndre Hopkins? He's probably at the back end of his prime, if I had to guess. What is it, about 31, 32 right now? Has never been noted for his athleticism, but very savvy, can get in and out of his breaks, could shield defenders, catches everything in his wheelhouse, in sight. Possession receiver, but can also make the big play. He can go downfield when he needs to, make a big catch over someone. So just knows how to position himself, knows how to get open, and knows how to really succeed without having to be super athletic. So if the Cowboys were able to get DeAndre Hopkins, that would be cool. But again, Calvin Ridley, and I'm sure there's some other suitors as well. And of course, and I'll get back to the Kobe thing here in a second, with Pau Gasol, the Lakers retiring his jersey last night. And then I'll get back to some NFL, just going over some notes right here, a couple of tidbits. And I saw where Mike McCarthy actually, now he's going to call plays. Okay, cool. But let's not forget about Mike McCarthy. Of course, Kellen Moore is going to the Los Angeles Chargers now as their offensive coordinator. Let's not forget the last time we saw Mike McCarthy calling plays in Green Bay, albeit with a championship ring on his hand, with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. We'll talk about that here in a second too, very briefly. With Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback, remember the last couple of years there, if anybody can remember and think back, I mean, he was boring. And he's sitting there talking about how he's going to run the ball. Well, he was very conservative. He had gotten very conservative. Wasn't really creative. Wasn't innovative. Damn sure wasn't Andy Reid. I'll tell you that. Wasn't nowhere close. So he's all excited about calling the plays and talking about how he's going to make sure he establishes the run. And we'll see if they have Ezekiel Elliott, and if he accepts a significant pay cut to stay with that team, because he's $16.7 million against the cap, I think it is. And he's just costing way too much right now for what he's giving them production-wise. But again, you all know I'm a Zeke fan, Ohio State. And even though he's not the dynamic player that he was his first 2 or 3 seasons in the league, I think he's still a nice compliment. Now, for that asking price is the question. That's why I said that. But he wants to run the football. Tony Pollard, put the franchise tag on him, but he'll be back in the fold. We'll see who they get in the draft, or however it may go. But I hope he's drawing up some plays. I hope he's not this boring offensive play caller that he was his last 2 or 3 seasons in Green Bay. Very conservative, very predictable. I hope he's not that guy. For real, for real, for real. If so, bruh, please don't start calling plays. I mean, don't come in here with this. I can see Vince Lombardi trying to be Vince Lombardi, you know. I can see Vince Lombardi on the sideline right now. If you're out there with that nonsense in today's game, what the hell is going on out there? For real. So come on, man. Go spend some time with Big Andy. Y'all go eat a couple cheeseburgers. Y'all go eat a few cheeseburgers this summer, and you pick his brain and get some plays, you know, however many he'll give to you. Up that offensive game of yours, man. I know you set out a while, and you're supposed to be back up on your, you know, you're supposed to be with the times now. But we will see just how creative you are and how you scheme up things. Again, you and Big Andy go have a couple of fat burgers or something. And talk it over. See if he can give you some pointers for them damn Cowboys. He was talking about, then I hear Jerry Jones talking about Dak Prescott and how pretty much almost trying to, and I'm not going to say make an excuse, even though he was keeping the 100 about, okay, what he's paying Dak or whatever. Sometimes, I mean, it's really not, I don't want to take his comments out of context, but it's really not a whole lot to be spent elsewhere to really put this elite team around them like everybody's claiming for, even though they had a lot of talent. But you have to remember what we're paying Dak Prescott right now. And sometimes, hey, you know, you probably just can't go get that one player that we all covet, because we probably, even me, Jerry Jones, just can't afford it because of what I'm paying Dak Prescott. Nevertheless, you have to coach those guys up. You have to make sure those coaches coach them up. The players that surround them, the players that you have tremendous talent on that team. Hitting the draft, coach them up. Coach them up. Everybody doing good out there. Again, you listen to the Sports Court. I'm Gregory Beatty, the show where we keep it 100% of the time. You know, before I move on real quick. Yeah, you know I got my barbecue fix this weekend. You know that. I go to the barbecue places, like I was telling you, where you pull up and you smell the smoke. Man, I was in a line the other day, a drive-thru line. I've mentioned this before, but it's just a pet peeve of mine. And that's why the obesity rate is so damn bad out here right now. Nothing against obese people, wish them well. But if it's from nonsense, like the damn drive-thru line wrapped around the damn corner, all these lazy people. I'm like, how is this many cars in the damn drive-thru? Seriously? How is this many cars waiting in the drive-thru? You're that damn lazy where you can't get out. Wrapped around the damn, I'm talking about like 20 cars deep sometimes, especially this one specific fast food place. But I'm like, how are these people waiting in these drive-thrus? You that damn lazy? Seriously? Damn, but I got my barbecue fix. You know, I go to the ones that, you know, somebody in front of you that might say, you know, where you smell the smoke, like I say, when you pull up. Oh man, what's that on the screen right there? I see that. Okay, where you pull up. Or maybe somebody in line, you have one of them dudes who order this food, barbecue sausage. Oh yeah, you know you at the right place then. Dude in front of you order barbecue sausage? Not sausage, but hey y'all, he said I got barbecue sausage. I mean sausage, we good. Barbecue sausage. You at a barbecue place, you still got to say barbecue. Yeah, give me some, not barbecue, but barbecue. Yeah, y'all got barbecue sausage? Oh yeah, I'm at the right place. You got one of them dudes over here ordering. For real. Cause hey, Skrilla Riddle, they say Uber One can save you on rides and eats, cause it feels so sweet. Save on rides to the west side. Something like that. Dude back there saying, that's catchy as fudge. That's a killer commercial with Montel Jordan right there. What else going on right here on this Wednesday evening, hump day? The KID is in the building, kicking it with Skrilla Riddle Montana. What is up? Told y'all about Boeheim. Hey, Pau Gasol, man. What a great gesture. What a tremendous gesture by the Los Angeles Lakers last night, retiring his number 16 in the Memphis game. Absent Ja Morant. Talk about that in a second briefly. Of course, Pau Gasol, if you all remember, he won 2 championships with the Lakers. But before he went to the Lakers, he actually played at Memphis. His first 7 seasons was with the Memphis Grizzlies. So it was only fitting that he chose that night for the Lakers to retire his jersey. And what a great job by Jeanie Buss and that Lakers brass right there for paying homage to not only a great player in Pau Gasol. Remember, I was in L.A. at the time. During my period in L.A. was when Pau got traded there. Of course, the Lakers were my team. And, of course, Kobe was there. Shaq had left. After him and Shaq had balled out, won 3 championships. Kobe said as much. He needed Pau Gasol to win those other 2 championships. He paid homage to Pau Gasol. Really showed Pau Gasol the way. Really challenged him to really reach his full potential, even though he had already had success with the Memphis Grizzlies. But great job by Jeanie Buss and that Lakers brass for retiring his jersey, and it's going to hang right there next to Kobe's. Right there next to Kobe's jerseys. But they won 2 championships during this tenure with the Lakers. I mean, Pau, I'm telling you, very genteel, polite. Great for Kobe, of course, who was a scoring machine. So he was the perfect fit for Kobe because he was a guy that was very unselfish and very willing to play that second fiddle role. So he blended in perfect with Kobe Bryant to go along with Kobe's scoring prowess. Kobe loved the guy. All the stuff that he could do on the court. I mean, Pau, he could post you up. He could run the floor. Had the mid-range game. Could face up. Block shots, rebound. I mean, very versatile game. Very versatile game that complemented Kobe's. But great job by the Lakers last night. Of course, also the lovely Vanessa Bryant, Kobe Bryant's widow, great job by her. She seems like she's in a great place right now after going through the tragic loss of her husband and daughter. Suddenly, seems like she's in a great place. Of course, as good as she can be right now at this point. I mean, what do? You have to move on. That's obviously what she's done, but she's always showing her appreciation for people that pay homage to Kobe or for anything Kobe is connected to. And so, but she introduced a video where Kobe and a very excited Kobe Bryant was actually talking about how Pau Gasol's just wait. He can't wait to see, unfortunately, which he was not able to do. He can't wait to see Pau Gasol's jersey next to his in the rafters. Wait to see his jersey retired by the Lakers. And can't wait to see him out there at center court giving a speech. Ta-da! That's what happened. Kobe talked it into existence. So I'm sure he's looking down on his good friend Pau Gasol right now, saying, hey, man, everything that you're getting right now, all the accolades are well-deserved, and love you, brother. You know, and Pau was very emotional, really showed and talked about his love for Kobe Bryant. The feeling was mutual. I mean, if he wouldn't have played with Kobe Bryant, more than likely, he probably wouldn't have his 2 championship rings. Again, they both fed off each other. I remember I used to watch those games at will, man. Big Pau and Andrew Bynum. That's a story for another day, man. I was an Andrew Bynum fan. Hey, I was an Andrew Bynum fan too. And I'm serious. Until he started hurting his knees, Andrew Bynum, not to get off Pau Gasol right now, but if Andrew Bynum wouldn't have started having those knee injuries, I'll never forget watching that game with the Clippers after he had just had 42 the night before that. You saw what he did against Phoenix before I get back to Pau. Let me go there real quick, just rounding everything up to a bigger point I'm making about the Lakers. But if he wouldn't have hurt his knee, he hurt that knee against the Clippers after he had just had 42. I mean, he was on a trajectory. I'm like, man, this young fella, he was like 21 at the time. Came into the league out of high school. I remember a year before that against Phoenix, I think it was Christmas Day when he put up 20, was catching all those alley-oops, athletic, energetic. I said, oh, yeah, Bynum's going to be a bad boy. I don't care what they said about him his first couple years out of high school. Hurt that knee. But Pau Gasol was right there to help Kobe Bryant get those 2 rings. Even though Bynum was still there, but Pau Gasol was the difference right there. Again, played his first 7 seasons with the Grizzlies before being traded to the Lakers in 2008 it was. Seriously. 7 foot, athletic, could play both forward and center. Tastes like steak right here. Forward and center. Very smart. Phil Jackson said that he's the smartest player he'd ever been around. Said he picked up the triangle offense quicker than anybody he'd ever been around. Of course, you're a genius if you pick up the triangle offense. That's the hardest thing to learn in the world, from what I understand. Hell, it's harder than the SAT. Let them tell it. But Phil say he's the smartest guy in the world, though. What up, Tex Winter? But hey, I mean, how many championships Phil have? 10? Sure. What, 6 with the... No, 11. 6 with the Bulls, 5 with the Lakers. Damn. Phil just sitting back in Montana right now, smoking a fatty. When your mama leaving? Why? I want to smoke this joint. Hey, somebody at the door, Skrilla. Phil out there kicking it. Nice fresh air. Going back to his hippie days. Blowing the smoke out, is coming back and hitting it right in the face because the breeze is so good. Oh, he's feeling so good. Sitting out there on millions. Montana. Phil Jackson. But 11 rings. Great passing ability, big Pau. I mean, seriously. Come on, bruh. But no ego. That's the thing, though. No ego. Again, as I pointed out just a minute ago, 0 ego. Could play both inside and out. But I'll talk about the combine here in a second as well. But of course, they played the Memphis Grizzlies without Ja Morant. We all saw the Instagram video, stay off of social media. We all saw the Instagram video where he's brandishing a gun. Now, I saw today where he's not going to be criminally charged. 23 years old. And I know at 23 years old, you have to take that into account. Even though there's a lot of mature 23-year-olds who won't think about making decisions like that. I get that too. But 23 years old, I mean, I can harken back to when I was 23 years old. I made a lot of unwise decisions that I wouldn't think about even doing now at this point. That, hey, you live and learn. Really. But Ja Morant, I kind of saw where this was going, and I hope he gets the help that he needs. And maybe this time off, maybe this is a wake-up call for him to get suspended. Now, they said 2 games, but I think that suspension, I'm going to tell you right now, folks, I think Ja Morant, I think he's pretty much derailed the Memphis Grizzlies' chances this season. I think he's going to be suspended for the remainder of the season. Now, if he doesn't, that's at the discretion of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA, of course. But, of course, the NBA, they're going to try to make an example out of Ja Morant. Going to try to pick themselves up off the mat from this bad publicity that he's caused them over the last week and other weeks as of late with things that he's been doing, like going to the mall, supposedly getting into it with a security guard over his mom. Man, just order those shoes. Tell your mom to order those shoes on eBay. I don't know what was going on I'm not privy to the exact information about what was allegedly going on, that he had to go to Finish Line or whatever shoe store. Man, you're supposed to have all that stuff delivered to your door. Why is mama in there dealing with them anyway? But I don't know. Then, of course, punched a 17-year-old at a pickup game at his home. What was this, last year? That was over there playing pickup ball with him. 17-year-old's probably talking trash to him. Who knows? They're all out there probably talking trash, but the 17-year-old was probably getting under Ja's skin. Then I heard he brandished the gun then. But see, this is Ja Morant. Everybody compares him to Allen Iverson. I think that started going to his head. And I know he's from South Carolina, supposed to have a cool dad. His dad looks cool. But I don't know if Ja Morant heard all these comparisons to Allen Iverson. And you see with the tattoos, ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, plenty of people have tattoos. I have a number of tattoos. I got all in one night when I was 24 years old. But he wanted to take on that image of an Allen Iverson. Instead of taking on the image of someone like Kobe Bryant, tremendous work ethic. He wanted to be a guy who wanted to feel connected to the streets. Rocking the dreads, have his hanger-ons, who actually, he should realize now, they're just leeches. Of course, you have some guys that you grew up with that's been there with you before you received a penny. Those are the guys you want to keep near and dear. But even sometimes, you know, that may not always be what you want it to be, depending on their motives. But if they're just keeping it real, just want to give you support and see you do the right thing, or not envious and jealous of the accolades and the success that you're having and that you're going to continue to have and the money that you're making, if they're not jealous of that or have tremendous resentment for that, and you really feel that they're actually in your corner, but like my late grandmother used to always say, don't ever put nobody in your bosom. Meaning don't ever think you're bosom buddies with somebody, that they won't either betray you, don't find your best interest at heart, or just don't be shocked if they're just not as genuine and as real as you think they are, no matter how long you've been knowing them. And of course, I have some friends that I can probably count on one hand that I feel that way about. And I feel that, hey, the human beings are human beings. I'll just leave it like that. But he has, maybe this is a wake-up call for Ja Morant. I think that suspension is going to last throughout the remainder of this season. And I'm hearing something like 50 games. And I don't know how true that is. I don't know if that's set in stone yet as far as if that decision has been finalized by the NBA or Memphis. If you look at Memphis, their head coach is saying all the right things about how they want to see Ja get his help. There's been a number of things that has led up to this idiotic incident right here. You have to know that's going to go viral. And you're not even in Memphis. You're in Denver. And you put that on Instagram thinking that's cool because you want to feel like you're connected to the street. Hell, I don't even think AI would do something like that even in today. I don't think he would. It's okay to kick it and have fun, but he has to realize what he has at stake right here and what he can lose all in an instance because he want to look like he's connected to the streets and he wants everybody to feel like he's this street guy. What did Shaq say? I read what Shaq said. Hey, bro, you're not a rapper. But so that goes to show you just where his mindset is right now. Again, young guy, 23 years old, trying to find himself. Who does he want to be? Who does he want to carry himself as? He has to think about other people that he's affecting when he puts himself in situations like this. Doesn't he have a baby girl that I think is like about 2 years old? I mean, before you brandish that gun on Instagram, knowing you should, you would have thought that he would have known that you can't do something like that. So was that a cry out for help? We don't know. But he said all the right things in the aftermath of that about he's going to seek help and things else. Now, we'll see how genuine it is. We'll see if he's still running with his posse or if he doesn't cut a few people loose that he doesn't find in his best interest, that are just leeches. You know, he wants to come across as hard. I'm tough. Again, you have all these deals in place, and you don't want to start, maybe it's good it happened right now. You don't want to start losing all these deals like a lot of athletes have done because you're acting a fool off the court and thinking it's cool, okay, it's a win-win for me because any publicity is good publicity. You know, I'm sure he's thought about how he wanted this image to shape out. Again, I think he was under the impression that it's cool to have an image like AI. AI got away with it. Why can't I? If you need a gun for protection, I ain't mad at you on that. Just be smart with it. Don't put it all on Instagram. Being who you are, don't flex all on Instagram, showing the world. You saw what happened to the DB from Ohio State that got ousted out of the league playing with the Raiders. First round draft pick last year. He was a goner. He was there 1 year, and but dumb stuff. All on social media. With a name, AK, I think it was. But bruh, keep that to yourself. Then I hear you have your truck that's pulling away from a game or something it was. I don't want to get this story wrong. But supposedly an infrared beam from what they think is a gun. They saw that or something captured a beam. What they think was a beam from a gun. I mean, these guys right here that you're running with, man, again, it's good to be cool and be down. I know you want to be down, but it's a way you got to go about it. And you still have to remember the big picture and remember what you have at stake and who and what you're representing. You have to be more low key with that. Nothing to ever put yourself in a position to get in trouble or get harmed. Luckily, no one didn't get harmed in that situation. Luckily, he didn't harm himself. I mean, hey, who knows what it was getting to? He talked about the stress. Think about it. He's 23 years old. What is he, 23, 24 years old? Has the weight of a city on his shoulders that he's been carrying. Everyone is counting on him to lead this franchise to prominence, win a championship. Seem like they have the team to do so for the most part. They're contenders, but of course we know they're falling back this season as of late. Just certain things that they're not doing on the floor well, even though they have tremendous talent. Don't have some great shooters on that team to complement Ja's passing ability and what he can do. Don't have great shooters as a whole, but they have some players that can put the ball in the basket. But they've taken a drop. But the team was in place. It's headed in the right direction as far as being a contender, the Memphis Grizzlies. But not this season. Doesn't seem like Ja is going to be back this season, in my opinion. But again, hopefully he gets the help that he deserves. And again, fortunately that incident did not end up worse than it was with somebody getting hurt, getting injured, him not hurting himself. Maybe that was a cry for help. Hey, help me. I'm stressed. I got a lot of pressure. Different endorsements. I mean, so again, but now he should rethink that. His dad, his mom should encourage him to do the right thing, be an example. His dad is his dad, not his friend. It's cool to be cool with your dad. But like I always tell you, and I've referenced my dad the past couple of shows, well, from time to time, all the time. I always throw something like that in there. Had me when he was 20. Mom was 18. Was married when they had me. But I said all that to say this. As young as they were never enablers. Even though they were young and hip, very fair. You know. But I always held us accountable, but also always gave us our space and had an understanding. But was definitely, you knew that they were the parents. No matter how cool they were and how understanding they were and how fair they were, still disciplinarians at the end of the day. So I know they have a lot of money over there, the Morants now, with Ja's exploits and what he's been able to do. Parents did a great job raising him. From all accounts, seemed like a good young man with a good heart. Seemed like he was raised the right way. I'm not questioning his upbringing by any means. But I'm just saying, if that is the case, where his dad is just hanging out with him and doing all the same things that he's doing to the T, and I think that's his name, no pun intended. But it's a certain way to do that, you know? So maybe this right here will really wake Ja Morant up and really get him on the straight and narrow, on the right track, and realize that it's okay to be looked at as this normal, good citizen who's street savvy, has street sense, but you don't have to be out there committing criminal acts or putting yourself in position to where you want to prove to the world that you're packing a gun or something like that. I'm going to assume you have a gun anyway. That's how I'm going to go about it. Most real ones are going to assume that you have a gun anyway. So you don't have to show me. Because when you start showing people you have a gun, if you're going to show, you better use it. When you start pointing your gun out, I was harkening back to the time I was at Ohio State. Me and my boys riding from a party. What was I, like 21, 22? I had a little 22 in my car. And just for the hell of it, we had been drinking. No reason at all. Leaving the party. Everything was cool at the party. Doing what we do. I'm shooting a gun up in the air. Just for the hell of it. I mean, can laugh about it now because it's something that was stupid and I'll never do again, of course. But a couple shots, pop, 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 and drove off. But what if somebody would have shot back at me thinking that they were getting shot at? Because I'm out there clowning for no reason. Being stupid. You know? So, and then, you know what's a trip? When I come home a couple of years later, I kick it with this chick, and she was like, yeah, I know a couple of your boys, blah, 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 blah. To make a long story short, she knew a few people, I won't name any names, that played ball with me at Ohio State. One of the guys, well, the specific guy that she was talking about was a few years older than me, but he was actually at the party. He had since stopped playing. Matter of fact, I think he was in the NFL. And she said, yeah, I heard you shot a gun up in the air when you was leaving the party. I didn't even know nobody had even. So, I mean, you never know who's watching. And no one else had never even brought that up. I had never brought it up. My boy that was riding with me had never brought it up. So, damn. When she told me that, I'm like, damn, he told you that? And I remember vividly what he was talking about. I was like, wow. Okay. But I hope Ja is actually, again, I hope he's genuinely remorseful, and I hope this just wakes him up and he flies on the straight and narrow. You can still be yourself. You can still have that edge. You can still talk your trash. If that's going to help you elevate your game or get to where you need to get, you can still be that guy. Just don't do anything that's going to jeopardize your future earnings or what you have accumulated thus far, what you've worked so hard for. For real, for real, for real. So I wish him well. Definitely want to pile on him, even though that was stupid and idiotic. And no excuses whatsoever for him. I see where Arch Manning had his first practice with the UT Longhorns. Arch. Hey, as dynamic as Quinn Ewers is, as I clear my throat, commercial free right here. Again, just turn on the camera and go and say, action. Might go take a quick break right quick, though. I can go with y'all. Hey, I can chop it up to y'all for 4 hours straight. That's what I do. 90% of this is off the top. I love to study. Now, I've jotted some things down, but a lot of times when I have my notebook, I prep. Now, don't get me wrong. When a lot of times when I have my notebook and have certain things, man, most of the time, and I said to myself, I made a conscious effort to say to myself, I need to start glancing down at my notes more, because sometimes I would get away. I might leave a little meat on the bone for maybe just a couple of things that I had jotted down that I could have added to what I was talking about to just expound on it more, just add some statistics and stuff like that, you know. But and then most of the time too, I had that stuff locked up here with recall. But Arch Manning had his first workout with the UT Longhorns, and from all accounts, he looks the part. He looks the part. We all know Arch Manning, the nephew of Peyton Manning and Eli. Highly touted recruit. 6'4". I heard one guy saying yesterday that he actually looks taller than 6'4" when he was watching him on the field. But I seen him toss the ball around. He's going to be special, folks. And I like the way Sarkisian, of course, his coach speak. He's talking about how it's an open competition, even though the context in which he really put it in was pretty much, if you really listen to the entire take, was pretty much him saying that when asked about it, that every position is going to be competition, and that's what he wants. He wants competition at every position. Of course, they got Jonte Cook, another highly touted running back. They're 5 stars. UT got some good recruits last year. Jonte Cook at running back. A linebacker they lassoed. Get it? Longhorns, lasso. Yeah, okay. But Arch Manning looks the part. And Quinn Ewers, and I love watching Quinn Ewers throw that. Hey, remember, Quinn Ewers was essentially a true freshman last year. And Sark even said as much, and I've said as much on the show as well. So he says it's going to be an open competition, even though Quinn Ewers is the leader in the clubhouse right now. Quinn Ewers is just going to have to lose that job. I love the fact that they're going to compete. But you know, Quinn Ewers is on a short leash, as dynamic as he is. In my opinion, still a first-round talent. Now, he essentially played as a true freshman last year. Remember, he played at Ohio State, then transferred to UT, but he left high school a year early before he enrolled at Ohio State. So even though he passed for over a couple of thousand yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, when he was healthy, I mean, remember, he missed a number of games as well. Remember how good he looked against Alabama. Quinn Ewers can flick it. He can flick it with the best of them. Again, whether Arch Manning is there or not, I still think Quinn Ewers, of course, he can't sit his next 2 years and be a first-round draft pick, but I still think he's a first-round talent. And he's only going to get better because even Sark said that this winter was huge for him because now things, essentially last year was a true freshman year for him. So when he wasn't injured, he was still learning things on the fly, in which I took that into account as well. But the arm talent is tremendous. If he can get up to speed with the cerebral part of it, which I'm sure he will, and that's the point I'm making, is he's going to be that much better next year. So Arch Manning is really going to have to, and if he gets injured, he may never see the field again. Because from the looks of it, Arch Manning is going to be the real deal. So you're going to have 2 great quarterbacks out there at UT. And I'm not saying it's a controversy right now, QB controversy, but you know a lot of UT, as highly touted as Quinn Ewers was, top quarterback in the nation as well. You have a Manning in the building now, the number 1 player in the nation. So you better not get injured. You may not never see that field again. You may not ever see that field again. I'm serious. Because Arch Manning is off and running, sporting that number 16 like his uncle, Peyton, in spring early. So when they get to fall camp this summer, he's going to already be up to speed. He's going to be used to the speed, the college football speed. It's a step up, a couple of steps up from high school. Of course, the pros are a couple of steps up from college. So he's going to get used to that, seeing how quick these DBs break on the football, getting his timing down. So he's doing that right now. So Arch will be over there licking his chops. He'll be on the sideline licking his fingers like this, like, hey, I'm ready, I'm ready. So Quinn better come on with it. And I like Quinn Ewers. Again, I think he's a first-round talent. I love seeing him spin that ball, man. And I was watching some video of Arch doing the same thing today. And it's like, yeah, okay. Boy, that's an embarrassment of riches out there at UT, I must tell you. Again, I'm Gregory Beatty. You listen to the Sports Court on this Wednesday evening. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. Aaron Rodgers looks like he's going to the Jets. He has an option to either go back to Green Bay, which Green Bay, and I'm not going to get into that again about how I told you so, how I've been telling you so, even though the outcome, he's been still in Green Bay, but that they're ready for him to go now. But they can't do it when he's winning MVPs. Now they're ready for Jordan Love. But the great Aaron Rodgers, first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best to ever toss it around the field, may end up in New York. And I think that's where he's going to end up. They'll work out something. New York is surrounded. I talked about it last week. I touched on it. They're surrounded with talent. Garrett Wilson, Elijah Mitchell. The offensive line is going to be solid. Get a couple of guys back from injury. Make a good draft pick here and there. The defense, of course, Robert Saleh, that's what he's known for as a defensive coach. They fly around. Breece Hall should be coming back healthy. Aaron Rodgers will fit right in. He'll fit right in Green Bay. I mean, in New York. Now he may have to restructure his contract a bit, but he's owed $59 million. I know the other option is he may retire, which I've heard some people say that Aaron Rodgers is a different kind of guy and nothing would surprise you. True. Nothing in life surprises me anyway, so I wouldn't count on it. Like I said, I'll burn that burner. I'll burn it down. I'll take it outside on the patio, and I'll put it live and just burn it down if he retires. Damn, I hope that doesn't happen. But when you owe that much money, and you still can play, and you still feel you can play, and I don't think he wants to go out on that note. I think Aaron Rodgers, not only the money aspect of it, but his competitive nature, and I think he wants to finish on a better note than that, feeling like even at 39, 40 years old, he can still toss it around, and you put him in the right situation with the right pieces around him, that he can lead you to a Super Bowl. I think he still feels that way, and I think he kind of wants to go out on that type of a note more so than, his last year in Green Bay, even though it was good, but it wasn't spectacular, and he's lost a couple of steps and dropped a notch or two. And that may end up being the case when he retires anyway. But I don't think right now, with what he has due on the table waiting for him, I don't think he wants to go out with that taste from last season in his mouth. I don't. I really don't. Like I told you, I was supposed to come on here at 7, but we changed it up, got on in here today, and loving every second of it. But we'll see if he ends up there. We'll see. Lamar Jackson, of course, the Ravens placed the non-exclusive franchise tag on him, so he can negotiate with any other team. I hear these teams coming out now talking about, they're not interested. I hear how collusion may be a part of it, how it's just something where the owners are colluding to keep that guaranteed money that he's asking for after the Deshaun Watson situation. They're colluding to not let him get paid that guaranteed money that he's asking for. Now, of course, the Ravens are going to give a couple of more teams. Of course, there's teams right now saying that they're not interested. We'll see how that plays out in the end, but I don't see how that's possible. But they're trying to get Lamar. They're trying to get Lamar to blink first, and Lamar's not having any of it. Him and his mom. They're not having any of it. But again, the Ravens, now, of course, if someone else signs him to an offer sheet, and this is the thing too, if someone signs him to an offer sheet, they know that that goes against their cap until free agency starts. That money counts against their cap. So who's going to step up to the plate? I think Washington may step up to the plate. I think he's probably going to end up in Washington. I think Baltimore, if he, depending on what someone else offered him, Baltimore is saying, let's see what you're really worth on the market to these other teams, because we just cannot come to an agreement on this guaranteed money that you're asking for. Baltimore, and like I said last week, I'm not too sure Baltimore. I'm serious, and I know how great Lamar Jackson is, and I know what he's done. I know some of these other players that have gotten these contracts. It's not fair that Lamar Jackson, a guy who's won MVP at a very young age, only 26 years old. You look at other guys that have gotten these contracts. Daniel Jones with the Giants, congrats to him, just signed 4 years, 160. To put the non-exclusive tag on Saquon, but they're going to try to have Saquon in the fold, but they want to improve it for another year that he can stay healthy. But they locked up their quarterback. Dable has him going in the right direction. But he got his money, not as much as Lamar is asking for, of course. But I heard Ryan Clark make a great point about how they're paying all these other quarterbacks who haven't had the success on the field. They talk about Lamar Jackson has one playoff win. All these other quarterbacks are getting paid at will. But now it's time for Lamar to get his bag. And it's a problem because he's asking for too much guaranteed money. And so these owners, these owners are trying to act like right now that they don't want to be the one to do something that the Cleveland Browns did at that exorbitant amount. Now the Ravens are going to see what someone else is offering him, whoever that may be, or if they don't. But they're letting him test the market. And like I said, if you saw some of those games without Lamar Jackson, we all know, now we can talk about what they didn't do for Lamar. Think about it. Think about the franchise that we're talking about right here. We're talking about a franchise who has never given this guy, put the talent around him that he deserved and the offense around him that he deserved. Strong running game for the most part. But you know what I'm talking about as far as true receivers, number one threats. They've never done that. So if they were that invested in Lamar Jackson, don't you think they would have done that by now? Obviously, they cannot come to an agreement on this contract that he's asking for. We'll see what transpires over the next week or so, if they can come to an agreement. But I'm not too sure that Baltimore feels, if you watch Huntley, the way he was playing, when he would play and get in there, of course he's not Lamar Jackson. But the Ravens, in my opinion, and I've always kind of felt like this, I've touched on it before. As great as Lamar is, as dynamic as he is, only 26 years old, he's prone for injury, as he's shown this past season, and time, he get injured, being a running quarterback. But I think they're saying that, plus we'll get 2 first-round draft picks if he goes to another team on this tag. If we don't match the offer, we'll get 2 first-round picks. I'm not too sure Baltimore doesn't want the 2 first-round picks. They look at what Tyler Huntley was able to do when he's on the field. They see the success. Again, he's not Lamar Jackson. But I think the Ravens probably feel that they can win without Lamar Jackson. I think the Ravens are saying to themselves, he's not Patrick Mahomes, as great and dynamic as he is, and we could talk about everything he's done as far as MVP. I honestly don't feel that they really trust him, can make every throw. Again, a lot of that is on them. I don't feel they really trust him as a pass. Again, they've never gotten him a number 1 receiver or weapons to really, where he could really flourish and really show that he deserves this money to the fullest, even though he does. He has shown that. But it's not, they're saying, well, we hadn't seen it in the passing game yet. So this is a team that's operating, they're thinking differently. It's not, it's almost like they're sabotaging themselves. Really. So it wouldn't surprise me one bit if they really, and they don't want to take the public scrutiny as well by flat out saying, hey, we really want to move on. Same way Green Bay couldn't do it a couple of years ago. How crazy it would sound for you to say you don't want to move on, that you want to move on from Lamar Jackson. I think in closed doors and in meetings, they're saying, really? And don't let them get Anthony Richardson. We can talk about that in a second, but he'll be long gone unless they trade everything to get up to a certain spot to number 4 or something. So who knows what Baltimore is thinking? Maybe they let him test the market. Then they come to an agreement on something. But he's free to sign elsewhere. But do they know that he probably won't, because these teams are not going to offer him that contract like they're saying right now? They're not going to offer him all that guaranteed money. Maybe he has to come back to them like, okay, let's go right here then, 180. I don't know what they're offering. I've heard 180, guaranteed. Then I don't know what he's asking for. What, Deshaun got 230? He says he's not asking for more than that. But whatever he's asking for, guaranteed money, the Ravens at this point don't feel is worth that amount of money from a quarterback who's only won one playoff game, granted an MVP, but also is injury prone. And again, you put guys in there like Tyler Huntley and you see them have success. Again, sabotaging themselves, if that's their frame of thinking. But I think they really feel that they can plug somebody else in. And it's not easy to find a franchise quarterback in this league. That'd be a huge mistake on their part. Make no mistake about that. But I'm not so sure that they are enamored with Lamar Jackson as most of us are. In a perfect world, would they love to have him back? Of course. I don't think they want to get rid of him. They just don't think he's worth the money, especially guaranteed money, that he's asking for. He may end up back with the Baltimore Ravens. They could come to a sweet deal. All parties are happy. He may ball out. Of course he's going to ball out when healthy. But do not be surprised if the Baltimore Ravens, no matter what they say, how much they want him back with the right deal, do not be surprised if they really want to move on. Again, unless it's at a deal where they like, okay, we got to give him this deal, But, so we'll see what transpires. Again, I'm tired of all this speculating about what's going to happen with some of these guys. Now it's getting close to time where, okay, some things are going to have to start transpiring. You got the NFL draft coming up. Transpiring. You got free agency coming up in a week. Then you have the NFL draft. So some things are going to get rolling as far as knowing where some of these guys are going to end up in the grand scheme of things, a la Aaron Rodgers. And, of course, Derek Carr. Congratulations to him. Signing with the Saints. So he's going to the Saints. So Aaron Rodgers will not be playing with the Saints. So, yeah. Hey, that damn combine. Talking about the draft coming up here late April. There was some people that shined in there. Anthony Richardson. Now, you all have heard me, the quarterback from the University of Florida. And I've said this before about how I came in here one day after I watched a game of his early in the season. I said, that's the first pick in the draft right there. The talent just jumped off the screen at me. 6'4" and a quarter. The guy is 244 pounds. I sat there and watched some of the combine. Cannon for an arm. Say have mitts bigger than DeAndre Hopkins. So in cold weather he could do what he has to do with the football. But the guy ran a 4.43. Maybe I come in here, I say, okay, that's the first pick. Then I backed up off that. Okay, he needs to play the game a little bit longer, get some more experience. But I wouldn't be mad if he went number one with that kind of upside. And I always look at a person's arm talent. A lot of people look at, well, he needs to get more accurate. Okay, of course. Can he make all the throws? That's what I want to know, because I'd rather deal with the quarterback who can make all the throws, has a cannon for an arm, and just needs to get better maybe on certain things like touch. And they're talking about his footwork. Well, he was almost perfect in the passing drills at the combine. C.J. Stroud was too. Talk about that here in a second. But they're saying his footwork. Okay. Improve his footwork. But with a talent like that, with that kind of arm talent, that's a top 5 pick, folks. Maybe it's just me. He's definitely going top 10. And I'm not a guy, I'm the first guy to tell you turn on the film. Like I said, when I made that comment about him being the number one pick, it wasn't the combine. It was when I watched him on the field. Then, of course, as the year waned on, of course, you saw some games where he may have thrown a couple of picks or didn't make the wisest decisions. But he's only started 13 games in his entire college career. I watched and listened to him at the combine. Very smart guy. Seems like a great character guy. I didn't think that just watching him at first, you kind of, okay, he may, he's probably a guy that's a knucklehead. Doesn't come across like that at all. Heard he did very well in the interviews. Smart guy, intelligent. I saw him with Mariucci. They had the chalkboard session in there. Now, I don't know how much of that is prep before they go on. But seems like he knew what he was talking about. Seems like he thinks the game out. He studies. So I said all that to say this. He's only going to get better in that regard. But with that physical talent, damn. Man, my boy Sale was texting. I'm like, damn, Sale. I was like, bruh. Which I have him in here at some point too. A former NFL player, a good friend of mine, grew up together. I've told y'all about him before. You've seen him on the show a number of times when I first started. But his job really doesn't allow him to come in at will either. But I say, man, I still think Bryce Young is the number one pick in the draft. As great as him, man, as great as he and Anthony Richardson and C.J. Stroud did, and I'll talk about C.J. here in a second, in the combine, I still think Bryce Young, who did not throw in the combine, he's going to throw at his pro day, measured out at 5'10" and a quarter, 204, pretty much what I kind of figured he would measure out at. So that's not surprising. He's still my first pick in the draft. He's that dynamic, that special as a leader, that special with the intangibles, that special as a guy that leads your organization, the face of your organization, that marketable. Bryce Young is the guy. Great personality, great game to match though. Yeah, we could talk about he should probably be more injury prone because of his size. And again, all those guys are susceptible to injury. I know this is a fast sport, but again, I think he makes up for it with the way he plays. And if it's meant for him to be special, he's going to be special. Period. And he is going to be special. But Anthony Richardson, wow. I watched him at the combine. I'm like, man, I told Sale, I say, bro, I'm not too sure that ain't the number one pick in the draft. Seriously. And I'm a guy that likes to watch the film, and I don't get too caught up with combine stuff because I've seen a lot of combine warriors that can't play a lick. I'm a guy that likes to say, turn on the film. But, of course, if you can add some blazing speed to go along with it, that's even better. If you can test out well, that's even better. But you got to show me something on film. And speaking of, and that's to my point about Bryce Young, playing in the SEC, the toughest conference. He showed me everything I need to see on film to be the number one pick, to go along with the other stuff I just said. He's going to shine at his pro day. He's the number one pick, folks. Or the number one quarterback taken. Who knows what the Bears are going to do? If they're going to, Jalen Carter didn't participate at the combine. His stock has seemingly dropped. Still going to be a great player with the misdemeanor charge. 2 of his teammates got killed with the reckless driving incident. He had 2 misdemeanor charges. Couldn't participate at the combine. Had to fly, turn himself in. Was arrested, then flew back to the combine. So people are having character questions about him right now. But he'll still go very high, and he'll be a dominant player. Much condolences to the families of the Georgia player and staff worker that lost their life in that incident. You can't be drag racing like that. Hopefully he learned from that. Speaking of that, I used to do stupid stuff, not so much drag racing. Get in my car when I was in high school and get on a certain street and you get next to somebody, you just hit the grass and man, my boy ain't gonna call his name. That's a police officer right now. High school teammate, grew up together. Been a police officer for 20-something years. He used to be right there sitting next to me. Let's go, get him, G. But tragically, 2 people lost their lives in an incident like that. So his stock has dropped, but he's still gonna be a great player. I mean, my condolences to the families of the people that lost their lives. And that's very unfortunate. And he shouldn't have put himself in that position that turned out to be as tragic and deadly as it was. But at the end of the day, once these teams start drafting and he checks out where he's not a drug addict or he's not on any drugs, any steroids or cocaine, passes all his drug tests, he'll be a great player in this league. He's going to get drafted as such too. Whoever, if they wait to 10 or something like that, I mean, somebody's getting a franchise nose tackle or defensive player all across that line right there. Simple as that. Again, if you want a choir boy, go to church. But Anthony Richardson, man, I mean, the guy, 4.44 in the 40-yard dash, 4.43 in the 40-yard dash, 10.9 broad jump, 42-inch vertical, cannon for an arm, but he needs to work on his footwork. Okay, he can work on his footwork. I'm not overly concerned about his footwork. Can he make all the throws? And the answer is yes. Does he have the right mindset and the right attitude? The answer is yes. The right attitude to, a guy that you bring in and you know he's going to be a sponge, going to soak it all up, going to try to learn. He seems like that guy. Passionate about the game. So if somebody decided, draft day, it's been crazier things have happened. If somebody decided if I heard them go up there and say, with the first pick in the draft, the Indianapolis Colts trade up and they draft Anthony Richardson. Damn, Colts just came up. That's how I really feel. But I think they're going to draft Bryce Young. Nolan Smith from the University of Georgia. Wow. 6'2", 238, 4.44, 1.52 in the 10-yard split. The fastest ever by edge rusher at the combine. Insane athlete. Was hurt. If he can stay healthy, he was hurt this past season for Georgia. But you're talking about a guy, that's Von Miller type stuff right there. But him, Anthony Richardson, I said it about Anthony Richardson, they compare him to Cam Newton. Cam Newton ran a 4.6 at the combine. They put the screen up where they have those guys running side by side right there. I mean, smoke Cam. We all know what a tremendous athlete Cam was. Same size. We all know what a tremendous athlete he was. This guy, Anthony Richardson, bro. Hey. Wow. But Nolan Smith, he's just raised his stock tremendously. You got DJ Turner, cornerback out of Michigan. 5'11", 178. Ran a 4.26. Bye-bye. He can go. Jets. Raised his stock. People love speed. Can he cover it? Did okay in his drills, I heard. Did good. Big Michael Mayer he looked good in this, but Darnell Washington is the best tight end to me. Darnell Washington out of Georgia. He looks smooth. What is he, 6'7"? He ran a 4.65. Michael Mayer, the guy who's projected to go higher than him, the tight end from Notre Dame. Damn good tight end. May end up to be great. May end up being great in the NFL. Another big Andrews. Ran a 4.7, 6'4", 249, 4.7, 32.5-inch vertical. Not overly athletic, obviously. Great film, though. Great film. That's what I'm saying. Watch the film, too. But I think Darnell Washington, the tight end from Georgia, I think that's why I would take first at the tight end position. The guy from Utah is not bad either. Kincaid, let me see. Utah's tight end, Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid. I watched him against Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. To be honest with you, the Ohio State Buckeyes should be thanking him right now for the game he had against USC to help catapult them into the college football playoff this past season. But he's athletic. He can play. I like him a lot. Kind of reminds me of Dalton Schultz, but better. He could actually block. But he's athletic, nice change of pace, agility, gets in and out of his cuts. Like Dalton. 23 years old, 6'4". But Darnell Washington, for me, a tight end. Of course, Jordan Addison ran a 4.49. Said his back was hurt. It's mighty funny how nobody's injured until after they run when their expectations are so high. Remember I said I really wonder how fast he is. Now, he said he has a back injury. He said he did it before the 40, allegedly. His people definitely made sure they came out and said that after he ran the 4.49, which is not terrible. Again, I don't get too caught up. But I said, how fast is he really? Then I read something not long ago where they had him clocked at a 4.29. That's probably coming out of USC. When he goes to his pro day, I'm sure he's going to run faster than that. Same with most of those guys. But 4.49, that wasn't necessarily blazing. I just told you about a guy, DJ Turner from Michigan, and ran a 4.26. But we will see just how fast Jordan Addison really is. Great receiver, can get open. Again, show me the film. This past season wasn't as productive as the season prior when he was at Pittsburgh. So how great of a receiver is he really? They're talking about combine people. A lot of people's stock has dropped. Like I said, the receiver out of LSU, Keyshawn Boutte, 5'11", 195, 4.5 40, 29-inch vertical, 9'10" broad jump. Hey, some of these guys are just not crazy athletic like that. But when you get them in the game and get them on the field, they're damn good. You look at Jackson Smith and Jigba, and I know I've said all that about Jackson Smith and Jigba as far as how it related to Ohio State and their chances of winning against Georgia, a game they should have won. I don't have to say that again, but they didn't. When he was still out with the hamstring. But like I've always said, if he was out because he didn't feel that hamstring was ready, even though he had missed an entire season, that's one thing. And again, it's his future. He could care less what I think about the situation. It's his future. But as time has waned on, even though I'm still disappointed that if he was healthy, he should have played to help out the Buckeyes from that slot, especially when Marvin Harrison went out. We're talking about a guy who was slated as the best receiver in the nation coming into this season. We saw what he did in the Rose Bowl against Utah, the aforementioned Utah, last season. Broke all kinds of records. But he shined at the combine. He's going to run his 40 at Ohio State's Pro Day. Now he's more quick than fast. Make no mistake about that. But you're talking about smooth, can get out of his routes, can get out of his breaks, smooth, knows how to get open. But like I said last week, can still take it deep. He may be a 4.5. I see him at the Ohio State Pro Day. I see him probably 4.48, 4.5. Some people think slower than that. I think it'll probably be around a 4.48, 4.5. Again, he's more quick than fast, though. Turn on the film. He's the best receiver at the combine in the drills. I'm talking about looks so smooth, man. Getting in and out of a hell. He had the best 20-yard shuttle of any receiver since 2014. That shows you right there how he can get in and out of his cuts in confined spaces. He's going to be a great slot receiver, but I think once he trains more on the outside at 6'1", 200, I think he could be a good outside receiver as well. But I think he's going to make his hay on the inside, beating people, being shifty, getting open, finding open spots, open zones, doing his thing after the catch. I talked about Quentin Johnston at 12 for the Texans. Not before Jackson Smith and Jigba. Again, disappointed in my boy. I'm going to root for him. But just wasn't meant for him to play that game, I guess. But I wish him well. But he should be the first receiver taken. He should be the first receiver taken. And if I'm the Texans, and the Texans may end up with C.J. Stroud. My boy Sell, I was just talking about, he wants C.J. Stroud instead of Bryce Young. And of course, I love C.J. Stroud. Man, I hate to keep going back. I mean, C.J. Stroud played for the Buckeyes. Look what he did against Georgia. Look what he did this entire tenure there. Remember that first game against Minnesota? I watched something at the Combine when Rick Spielman they were interviewing him, and they were asking him. Rick Spielman said the same thing I said a couple of years ago. The week after that game against Minnesota, what did I come on the show and say? And Rick Spielman and a couple other guys were interviewing him, and Rick Spielman said, hey, man, when I watch you against Minnesota, your first game, he was like, oh, man. He's like, I'll be honest. I said to myself, Ohio State needs a quarterback. And then the second half, he came out in the second half, and I'm like, well, you remember I said the same thing that Tuesday? After that, I said the first half, I was like, when they put Quinn Ewers in, even though he's a true freshman, all this and that, I'm like, but like C.J. Stroud told Spielman, he's like, come on, bro, y'all should give a brother time to warm up. He was kind of making fun of it, kind of having fun with it, like, give me time to warm up. It was my first game. It was my birthday. The elements were not the best. Can I warm up? Makes sense. But remember when I come in here that Tuesday, I said he went from a guy who I thought maybe shouldn't be the quarterback for the Buckeyes to a top 3 pick the year he comes out. I said that. Yes, I said that. My video's still up. Find out when that game was, find out which show that was, and scroll. Maybe you'll find it on there. I don't erase them unless it was one of those videos that maybe I had some technical diffs and I just deleted it or something like that. But C.J. Stroud shined at the Combine, making every throw from every distance. He'd be a great one. I would not be mad. Hey, I love C.J. Stroud. I hate to be the guy that seems like, trust me, it's not me going, I love C.J. Stroud. I just think Bryce Young, I'm being objective, I think Bryce Young is the best quarterback in the draft. But I wouldn't be mad at all if C.J. got picked before Bryce Young. It's a Buckeye. And I think he's going to be a great quarterback in this league. Great character person. That's the same thing I said about Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young is more marketable as far as his personality. But CJ, he is who he is. Seems like a great guy. Cool guy. I just think Bryce Young is the best quarterback in the draft. Again, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis showed that cannon that he was talking about. For real. Running backs, of course, Bijan Robinson ran a 4.46. That's top 10 running back. That's top 10 player drafted this year, folks, period. I said top 15 last week. Really is a top 5 talent. Let's get real. But I don't want to get in the running back position and this and that right now. Bijan Robinson is special. And I'm going to say that again. He ran a 4.46 at 200, almost 220 pounds. He can go. Shined in his drills. Turn on the film. If the Eagles get him at 10, are you serious? That should be illegal. You mean you have to worry about Jalen Hurts, the best running quarterback in the league, who's essentially a great tailback who can throw the football. And I know Miles Sanders, who's a free agent, I know he's damn good. He's no Bijan Robinson. And the couple other backs they have over there, they're good. Damn good. Great run game over there. Damn good run game over there. You pair Bijan Robinson with Jalen Hurts. If you're a defender on the other side of the ball, what do you do with that? That run option. Then you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith on the outside? Come on, man. If the Philadelphia Eagles, it would be illegal for them to draft Bijan Robinson, to pair him with Jalen Hurts. Put him in that backfield. I just think he's that special. And you can put him out wide and let him run routes and catch the ball at 6 foot, 220. Jahmyr Gibbs ran a 4.36, showed he's that explosive, athletic scat back we all thought he could, that he showed at Alabama. Return kicks, probably put him back there on punt return too, because kick returners, a lot of times they kick the ball out of the end zone now. But how often do you want to utilize him Put him back there on punt return. Devon Achane ran a 4.32. He's going to go somewhere mid-second, early third. I think he'll be a great addition to a team. He's only, 5'9", like 180 something. But hey, strong, powerful. Bye-bye. Can take it to the house. Can take it to the house. But you know what? Let me get ready to get out of here and get rolling. Again, basketball-wise, hey, I saw where Zion is going to be out again. Well, he's going to stay out. The Pelicans are done. Like I said weeks and weeks and weeks ago, he's just derailed their season with his constant injuries. Man, I hate to see that for the Pelicans. I hate to see that for the Pelicans because Zion is that great of a player as well. Anthony Davis balled out last night with the Lakers, keeping them afloat. Now they're in that 9th position as LeBron heals up. Man, I really hope I hope that foot heals up. We're talking about a tendon right here. A tendon. We're talking about a tendon. Hopefully he heals up. I don't want LeBron to come back and that tendon or that ligament, pap. He knows his body. He's smart. But until then, AD is balling out of control when he's on the floor. So the Lakers are trying to make their move. Some nice pieces around them. So they're trying to make their move. The Warriors, I'm still waiting on the Warriors to make that move. I'm starting to get to a point now where I know when they're healthy, Wiggins is coming back. That's going to help on the defensive end. But they're just not, especially on the road, they are just not putting out the effort night in and night out, especially on the road. And when are they going to completely gel and really, they won 4 in a row, 5 in a row. Steph comes back, they lost 2 in a row, even though Steph looks healthy. So I like that part of it more than anything. I think they're going to eventually, once Andrew Wiggins come back, I think they turn that switch like the Rockets did in that second season when they won that championship, when everybody all during the regular season, oh man, they don't seem interested. Then they got Clyde in the playoffs. The rest is history. But you get Wiggins back to go with Steph coming back and Draymond on the defensive side of the ball. They have been atrocious. That's where they used to make their hay. That's where they used to make their hay. Not only on the offense, being sharpshooters and being connected on the string, having a tremendous basketball IQ, but making their hay on the defense side of the ball. If they show that they can get back and get that groove back, I still pick them coming out of the West. Playing somebody like Milwaukee. Boston has been on the slide, but they're going to get it back together. But I'll talk more NBA next week. Of course, college basketball, the Cougs are still ranked number 1. Still kicking it. I'll talk more basketball. It's a lot more of the NBA I probably could have gotten into tonight. But, of course, with the Combine being this past weekend. But, again, the Warriors have to get it going. They don't have James Wiseman. They moved him. And some of these other young players, they're going to have to step up, and they're going to have to be more consistent. I see Kuminga coming on with Golden State. That's nice to see. Poole, he comes and goes. Moody hasn't done anything this year. Poole is great. But you look up, last night he had 11. Steph had over 40. Again, you get Wiggins back, who's going to get the defense and the scoring punch. I think they'll settle in. I think all the talk about them being on the outs and not being the team that they were during the dynasty years, even as well as last season, of course. Iguodala coming back, not the player he once was by no means, but can give them some savvy veteran leadership in the playoffs, could give them a few spot minutes here and there, make a few big plays to change the outcome of the game, like knock down a big three, not scared to take the shot, make the right pass, settle everybody down. He's going to be an asset in the playoffs. Again, once they get their full complement back, I'm going to see Wiseman, I said, maybe a change of scenery in Detroit. Put up 21 last night. There's been a couple of games where I think he had 7, but I saw last week he had 23 one game. He's going to be all right. Take what he learned from over there, and Detroit is going to be all right with Big Wiseman in the middle. I think he's going to end up being that player. He needs to rebound a little more. He had 5 rebounds last night, but put up 21. He's going to come around. That Golden State system, that Golden State, I mean, I don't think it was just that system wasn't for him. I think he's going to thrive in Detroit, going along with Bagley finally catching his groove. Of course, they get the number 1 pick back next season from injury. But and we'll see what they do in the draft. Maybe they get Wembanyama. I mean, who knows how the draft is going to go? Who knows how the draft is going to go? NBA draft, as far as the lottery, as far as how things shake out and things of that sort. But let me get on down the road. D'Amico Ryans, I said number 12, get a receiver. I really think they should. If they're going to get a quarterback, he may go. Who's to say he won't go Jalen Carter at number 2? He's a defensive guy. Maybe he wants to be like the 49ers and build that defense first. Get that defense up to par to go along with the picks they had last season. First-round draft pick in Stingley and, of course, Jalen Petrie. Maybe he wants to build from build that defensive line with a tremendous talent like Jalen Carter. But we'll talk about some more of the prospects. Don't really have time to break down everybody that participated in the combine right now. So if it's anybody that I've missed, please forgive me. But talked about Jackson Smith-Njigba, Bijan, Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Darnell Washington, Jordan Addison. See what he does on his pro day. Bryce Young, Nolan Smith. These guys are going to have pro days, and they're going to get a chance to. I mean, a lot of these, from all accounts, most of these top guys that we've been hearing about, they done very well in their interviews. And that's one of the first things, that's the main thing, well, one of the main things, other than the film, of course, that these coaches want to see. But you know what? Roof. Let me bust a move right here. Hit this freeway. I'll be back next week. Chop it up. Again. I could have talked a lot of NBA tonight. I could have broke down Cleveland, whoever. I could chop it up with you for another 2 hours. But you know what? I'm going to step aside, get down the road. See you next week. Legends live and let live. Skrill, I'm out, bro.